Hello, my name is Mark Monlux, and you're watching another episode of Epic Sketch Time. Today is Monday, 1st, 2018, and I'm a freelance illustrator in Tacoma, Washington. If you'd like to join Epic Sketch Time in the future, please click on the link down below to sign up. We'll receive notifications. And with me today is Ian and Bill. Gentlemen, introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Bill. I'm a illustrator and cartoonist from Seattle, Washington. And I also do a webcomic called Rhapsodies, which you can find at rhapsodies.wpmorse.com.
And my name's Ian Castruita. You can find my stuff at unfedartist.com. I'm an illustrator, graphic designer, and comic artist working out of Tempe, Arizona.
And both of those links should be down below in the description, so please check out their websites. Gentlemen, as we all know, it's October 1st, and it is the start of the yearly challenge for a month, Inktober. Why don't you both describe what you're drawing, or what you have drawn for the event so far?
Okay, I've been following the traditional prompts of that come on the Inktober page, and this is the first time I've actually done that. For the last couple of years, I just did random monsters, and the year before that, I did the Drawloween challenge as Inktober. This is my first one here, which the prompt today was poison, so I sort of did an Indiana Jones pistache where he's trying to avoid being bitten by the poisonous snakes. They went okay, I suppose. And if anybody is interested, I kind of cheated this year and warmed up for Inktober for a couple of weeks by doing a series of sketches illustrating the book Game of Thrones, which you can find on the link I just posted. And right now I am doing a more complex version of this particular one of the illustrations.
Are you guys still able to hear me?
Yes.
Ian?
Oh, okay.
I like that over-the-shoulder shot you're building up.
Yeah, it's been a while trying to set this up. I figure it's Inktober. I should use ink instead of, the Wacom. Although I love my Wacom, but...
Yeah, I mean, I argue that's the whole point.
Yeah.
I try to, generally, I've been trying to make it more of a challenge for myself by not only sticking to ink, but limiting myself to a 10-point marker, which I find it gives it a interesting quality that's very different than what I normally do.
What tool are you using, if you don't mind sharing? Because I'm always art supply geek. I love this stuff.
Oh, for the what I'm drawing with, I generally favor Faber-Castell pits, though I've been also being very fond of these Prismacolor pens.
Sure, Prismacolor, yeah. Yeah, I love the Faber-Castell pit pens. I picked up these Pigma brush pens, and I'm looking forward to trying these out. I did some just kind of sample tests, and I love the way the ink flows off of these. I'm just a big fan of brush pens in general, so I can't remember why I picked these up. I think they were recommended, or somebody had them on a list. But yeah, I got the Pigma FB brush pen and the MB brush pen, so we'll see how those work out today. And I usually have just a regular, let's see, Uniball. I don't have one on me right now, but yeah, I have a lot of these Staedtler pigment liners and stuff. Just anything with waterproof ink that's I can do like really straight lines with. So this this what is this? This is a Pilot Precise V5.
Mm-hmm.
I think that'll be probably my straight line tool today. We'll see how that goes. But
and on the subject of brush pens, I've also been starting to use a Pentel brush pen quite a bit, which I'm mostly liking. Though it's not quite as controllable as the Faber-Castells. That needs a much more subtle. It needs a much more steady hand. Otherwise, you'll start unintentionally doing very, very, very thick lines.
Yeah. You know, maybe sometime this month, if I can, I'll try to do my pencils before we start Epic Sketch Time, and I'll try to do like straight up India ink with a watercolor brush and see how that goes. It's been a while since I've done something like that.
I used to do that quite a bit, though I got tired of washing my hands.
Yeah, it's messy.
Because I originally started with the Faber-Castell pits just so that I had something portable where I wouldn't have an accident in public, and then it hit me. You can use them just fine in the studio
without accidents.
Right.
Yeah, I have these memories of just like this Bristol board and inking my own really really bad pencils, but like I have like these really thick layers of India ink, you know, they're almost like caked on.
Mm-hmm.
Just had no idea what that guy was doing, and just markers are so much easier to deal with.
Oh, very much. And also you don't have to worry about what is the ultimate nightmare with India ink, which is cleaning rugs.
Oh, I haven't had that pleasure yet.
That is what we call a very nice way to blow your security deposit.
Which is why I've always invested in a nice desk mat in front of my units. All my spills have typically gone on there, but yeah, that's something I also have experienced. Not the losing the deposit, but the occasional. I'm a bit of a fumble fingers, so every now and then the pen will just go flying out of my hand. And it's one of the reasons why I didn't take on brushwork early and kept to using mechanical pens. I am going to have to start adjusting my scanner somehow. It has a default, and as you can see, in these black lines, I got lots of little pixels. And so I spent all this time after I scan in my pen and ink, having to go in and cleaning up these little pixels. And I'm wondering if I just should keep the pen and ink as a rough at this point, and then redraw this again in Illustrator using this as a template. You know, that makes a lot of sense. Because I'll be spending the same amount of time I would cleaning up the black lines in this. I mean, look at this, these little dots. I'd have to wash over this completely. Now, I've tried things like selecting black and then expanding and doing a fill. Let's see if I can. get rid of it that way. Select similar. Select modify, expand, and I'll go out by 1 pixel. I'll do a fill.
So I'm not at all recognizing this critter, but I can't help wondering that in the original movie, is it a hand puppet or a rod and rod combination?
It is a. You've guessed that it is practical special effects,
Mm-hmm.
and it's from an '80s horror film called The Boogans.
Okay.
It's the one of the most frequently requested obscure movie monsters that I get. So this weekend I did a show. It was the Lakewood Book, Art, and Film Festival. And it should have been called Tumbleweeds.
Oh dear.
So.
Yeah, it's funny. I follow enough artists on Instagram to see all the cons that they're doing. So, for example, Jill Thompson was showing off all the pictures from her con in Sioux Falls this weekend.
And how was her con?
It looked fairly good. She was posing with several with a lot of fans.
Hey, can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Hey, did you see the text from Russell? He's asking for a leak or something.
Oh, I did not see that. I'll send that out. Hang in there, Russ. That reminds me, I should send out a link on Twitter. So I got the table for free, but it was a fairly thin. It was a thinly attended event. It was done by the Lakewood Library, And library events tend to be fairly thinly attended. But I learned that they got enough attendance that they've received a $19,000 grant to do it again next year, which hopefully would mean more money for promoting the event.
So did nobody show up at all, but it still went well enough that they got a grant?
Well, I wouldn't say that nobody showed up. Before this, it used to be known as the Asian Film Festival, and they would show films from Asia. But they got a larger venue with a large lobby. And they thought, we can have writers in on this thing, and we'll do an art show. So it was the first time that the writers showed up for this, or that people were expecting writers to be there. But it was on a college campus, and librarians are known to overestimate potential attendance based on Facebook response. You know how it is with people on Facebook. You get so many. If you invite 100 people and 10 people say they're going to show up, you're going to get one. It's just how you can't rely on Facebook numbers. But I wasn't expecting much from the show. And as I said, it was a free table. I only found out later, after the fact, that there was a writer's book fair going on at a large hotel inside Tacoma. It was a paid to get in, whereas the thing I was at was, free to get in. The movies were free to watch. It's a public library, so everything's free. And there was also the Kitsap Mall had a collector's show going on, and I've done the collector's show. The collector's show happens 2 or 3 times a year at the Kitsap Mall, and I've done it a couple times and have done pretty well because you're situated in the main area of a mall, so you have passerbys, just regular shoppers, as well as the people who have come there for the collector show. I don't know what type of deal the organizer worked with the mall folk, but it's turned out to be beneficial to both of them. And since I was one of his people that helped him do it the very first year, he gives me a discount rate.
So if anybody listening has an opportunity to attend a library event, what should they be kind of aware of and think about when they consider that or plan to do it?
Well, I've done 2 different library events. I've done the one called Atomic Con, which is Tacoma's library's little comic book convention. And they've had almost a dozen tables, which isn't too bad for something being held at the library. However, you should not be expecting the libraries do not have any budgets for running a promotion. And they don't have time to do a lot of promotion on the side. They'll hype it up as much as they can, but they're working with zero or little dollars, and they're relying heavily on you to get the word out.
Plus, I don't know if it varies through different branches. They don't allow merchandise sales.
Yes, they do.
Oh, or is it just for the conference centers?
No, this is at the Tacoma Public Library.
Oh.
Have you done any of those events, Bill?
No, but there was every one of the rules when we had guild meetings at the Seattle libraries, we weren't allowed to sell anything.
Hmm.
I'm guessing that the people who were the librarians that were organizing this event realized that they couldn't have people selling, artists coming in just to show off their work without the capability to sell. So. And I don't know, why am I still working on this inside Photoshop? I guess I'm trying to decide whether or not.
Oh, that reminds me. When my microphone was cutting out, I was trying to ask you, do you have a phone app called Adobe Capture?
I use it for creating palettes.
Well, one of the things about Adobe Capture is you could take a photo of black and white artwork, and it imports as a vector onto your Adobe Cloud account, and you can use that to have like a vector graphic to begin with from within Adobe Illustrator. So you were talking about importing into Illustrator, and that's like by far the easiest way to do it.
How good is the quality level, though, of the vector grab?
It depends on a lot of factors. So I mean, there's a slider in there too, so you can adjust that. But between like starting from scratch and having something that's like ready for you to adjust and fix, I'd say either way it's worth a shot just to kind of see if that's something you can build into your workflow.
What I'll do is so it's called Adobe Grabber?
Adobe Capture.
Adobe Capture.
Yeah.
My favorite part of it is I've only tried playing with what you just mentioned once, and I wasn't I didn't have access to my computer to get at the finished version, but I've always and I've never had luck with the pattern capture it has, but the color function is amazing. Essentially, you point it at something and it picks 5 key colors from the image. Though the one downside is it's not good in dim lights. I was trying to find. I've been trying to find some good nighttime palettes, and anything darker than 6 o'clock in the evening, it just couldn't register.
So I take it's fairly safe to say that neither one of you have seen the Boogans?
Pretty safe.
Have either one of you seen any movies since I last spoke to you?
Yes.
What did you see, Bill?
I saw the original Cat People, and I'm halfway through the remake right now. And, well, I think I have mixed feelings about the remake. The original is very interesting. It has one of the best examples of less is more as far as scaring the crap out of you with thinking that the leopard person is stalking you.
Cat people is also where the terminology a bus comes from. There is something, it's often referred to now as a jump scare, but basically
Yes.
you have tension building, and then suddenly there's this sudden shriek or something. In this case, the shriek turns out to be a bus pulling up to the curb, and everyone goes, "Oh, it's just a bus screech." And
Yes.
so that's called a bus, and it's commonly used in. Everyone knows.
Right.
I've seen that done over and over again, but it was the terminology comes from that movie where there's a scene that I just described where she's going down an alley. She thinks she's being chased. There's stringy violins. There's tension building, and suddenly shriek, and then a bust.
Huh. Yeah, because the scene that I was really impressed with comes about 10 minutes after the one you just mentioned. Were there names for it before? Because when you're describing that, I'm kind of reminded of that scene in the 49 Steps where the woman screams and it just switches over to a train whistle.
I'm not sure if there was terminology before that. I just know that after that movie, that term came into use. I'm trying to see whether or not Russ, since I'm not seeing Russ with us yet. We'll send him another link. I think I'll switch over and work on the cleaning up my comic strip that I was supposed to send out today, and my movie review for Support Your Local Sheriff.
Oh, cool.
And Ian, if you haven't seen it, you should watch Support Your Local Sheriff. It's a hilarious cowboy film.
When did that come out?
Oh, let's see. 1969. It pretty much put James Gardner on the map.
All right. Support your local sheriff. Adding it to my to-do list.
Not to be confused with the follow-up movie that has nothing to do with the first film other than that's using the same actors to do pretty much the same thing, Support Your Local Gunfighter.
So the way you're describing it, it's like A Fish Called Wanda and Fierce Creatures?
In a way, except that imagine they did another movie called A Fish Called Wanda, but it wasn't A Fish Called Wanda.
Right.
Okay, more like that.
Okay.
But they figured, hey, we got the right chemistry going with this right cast. We might as well do another Western that the audience will enjoy.
Well, I haven't done Western comedies for a while.
And I was thinking about that, Bill, and I was trying to think of other Western comedies to give to you as a recommendation.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty afraid I'm probably scraping the barrel quite a bit there. I mean, obviously, I've seen Blazing Saddles, and
well, there's Cat Ballou.
I had that on my list a few years ago.
Lee Marvin won an Oscar for his portrayal.
At the moment, I'm sort of trying to think of horror comedies, though technically I don't have to, because two of the films on last week's list were, well, one was deliberately a comedy. The other one is humorous and satirical, but I'm not sure if I would call it a comedy.
Are you talking about Transylvania 65000?
I'm talking about Dawn of the Dead.
I don't think that rates as a comedy.
Shaun
of the Dead, yes, but Dawn of the Dead, no.
I should have done Shaun of the Dead and Zombieland as a double feature, but I was going with the zombie apocalypse theme, and I'd never seen any of the other Romero zombie films after Night.
Let's see. So, yeah, Transylvania 65000 is more like a spoof up type of movie with all the horror fixins, as it were. You know, creepy castle, Transylvania, vampire, but more of a sex comedy romp.
Okay.
But if you're oh yeah, that's right. You're trying to do horror throughout the month of October, or at least that genre.
Hence my watching Cat People for this week and still thinking about next week.
I just got a text from Russ. He was going to join us, but then his neighbor came over with a request for assistance, so he's helping out his neighbor right now. It's nice to know that our members are civically minded.
So, Bill, is there a purpose behind your double feature marathon, or you just trying to catch up on something?
Well, I do my double feature every week. I Scarecrow, the video store that is about 300 yards away from my apartment, has a 2-for-1 deal on Wednesdays. So I use it to, as well as supporting the institution, I use it as a way of putting the depth and the breadth of their collection to the test, and see stuff that are frequently out of my comfort zone. And on the top of that, it provides blog fodder on my webpage. And since it's October, I am doing Halloween films, or at least scary films that are appropriate for Halloween.
How long you been doing this for?
Oh, a couple of years, right, Bill?
Yeah, at least 5 years now. I mean, and so I have quite a archive of bad reviews in my on Rhapsodies.com, Rhapsodies.wpmorse.com, for anybody who is forgiving and likes movies.
So has there been like quite a few just like absolute stinker nights where you're just like, I need to quit this, or are you usually pretty happy with it?
I mean, I don't go out, unlike Mark, I don't go out of my way to watch bombs, but every now and again, it's unavoidable.
Yeah, my older brother is he doesn't abide by it like religiously, but he usually likes to know if a movie's going to suck before he watches it. So he checks out like Metacritic.com and Rotten Tomatoes, and if it gets bad reviews, he probably won't go see it unless it's like an IP that he's really into. So
yeah, I always take Rotten Tomatoes with a grain of salt because it's sort of like the way their format is set up. All it takes is one hater to screw the curve.
Well, that was in the news recently, right? Like a lot of people were trying to purposely mess up the scores on Star Wars or something.
I hadn't heard that, but frequently you hear stuff about how the critics and the people's opinion are radically different. And then I get really suspicious when films get really high ratings on Rotten Tomatoes, because the way I see it, no critics, if they're good critics, should not all have the same opinion. So as far as I'm concerned, unless it's Citizen Kane or Seven Samurai, a film on Rotten Tomatoes shouldn't have a higher rating than, say, 85. So whenever it's something relatively mediocre that's in the hundreds, I get suspicious.
And I keep away from watching any type of reviews of movies that I haven't seen yet.
I'm torn on that because I like reading criticism, not because I want to know if the movie's good or not, but because I appreciate the art of criticism.
Well, that's just it. Most of the stuff I'm saying isn't criticism. It's outright spoilers.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't take much to spoil a movie for me. I mean, I really want to go in cold, as it were. Now, if they say this movie is pedantic, stupid, and you do better times trying to swallow a gallon of milk in an hour and reap the benefits, then I'll take that type of criticism under consideration. But
well, that's especially interesting because you're the comic critic, right? So like, how does a critic take criticism?
Well, note that in his criticisms, Mark is pretty much practicing what he preaches. They're very beyond some leading details. He's generally stays pretty closed mouths about the actualities,
which is tough. Let me tell you, to do in 9 panels. Like, let's take a look at this week's. If you have seen this film, you'd be more than familiar with all the little visuals that I'm dropping into this thing. But if you hadn't seen the film, and I'm sure you two haven't, would you be able to figure out what the plot line is of this movie?
Beyond making assumptions about the Western cliches about how the sheriff dies in the first act and all that, and I'm sure it's a movie that's taking full use of destroying and mocking those cliches.
Yeah, I think just not only looking at that one, but like looking at the comic critics that you've done for films that I have seen, yeah, you definitely don't drop spoilers at all.
Meanwhile, there's a fellow, and I love his commentary. He's really snarky. I'm trying to remember what his website's called. Does a wonderful job of tearing movies apart. Nostalgia critic.
Oh, yeah.
But the word critic shouldn't even be in his name because he's riffing on the movie more than being a critic of it.
He used to be relatively good. I used to like his old versus new, where he's doing a pretty good where he was fairly fair-minded. But he seems to be getting off more on being angry in the last 2 years.
My wife just sent me a text reminding me that I'm picking her up at the old location for the last 4 months. Her park and ride has been under reconstruction. So we've been having to go to a different parking lot to be picked up. And being as I'm a slave to trends, I have gotten very used to the Pokemon stop at that location, and the vast variety of Pokemon typically available in that parking lot. When Pokemon first came out 3 years or so ago, I had an old iPhone 4S. The S stands for Siri, which was brand new at the time. And it did not have the guts to run that game. So everybody was having fun with the game, and I was left out, and I was all sad and bummed. And so I get my new phone, and one of the first things I do is download Pokemon Go. And this was about, say, 3 months before they did the re-release. And I'm enjoying my little walk, and I'm enjoying, catching Pokemon, and people say, "What, you're playing that old game? You're so out of date." And then I turn around, and now it's the in thing again, and I'm seeing hundreds of people out playing with their playing the game.
I've been avoiding that game. And I'm getting an echo from somewhere.
Yeah, I'm getting it over here too.
Is it coming from me?
Are you hearing an echo?
I'm not hearing an echo.
Yeah, it's probably you.
I was hearing.
Let me lower my volume.
I have my headphones on today, so I am not.
That's something. I could just put on my headphones, and that should definitely clear it up.
Yeah, I mean, I've been avoiding it. Not to sound like a outsider, I've been avoiding it because I have enough distractions in my life, and having a game to get hooked on is probably a very bad idea.
Well, as far as games to get hooked on, though, I mean, the whole point of it is walking around and getting around and checking out new places, because all the stops are usually like areas of interest. So, if there is a game to get addicted to, it's probably the one.
Why I did it. I wanted to hang on a moment, gentlemen. I'm going to switch over to my headphones. Okay. Did that get rid of the reverb?
I think so.
Yeah, I don't hear anything.
So I've been trying to walk more, and it certainly encourages you to go out and walk.
Well, for me, I walk a lot anyway. And when I'm not walking, I'm biking.
And my wife rolls her eyes every time I play it. But she knows she doesn't have a leg to stand on, since she plays far more computer games than I do.
Yeah, I started playing Pokemon Go, and then at the time when it first came out, there was there were these third-party sites that had access to the API, and they used algorithms to predict where Pokemon would spawn, and there was a map where you could check it out. And so if you were trying to get a specific Pokemon, it would show you where that was, and you could try to go grab it before it despawned. And I remember
Bill, can you hear Ian?
Yes, I can, or I could. Last word I heard was respawn.
Yeah, me too. Ian, we lost you there. Ian?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Looks like I need to buy a new microphone. Oh well. Yeah, well anyway, it was just it was funny to see like cars and trucks and stuff show up to these corners where I had just ridden my bike to go get a Pikachu or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But what's the company that runs Pokemon Go? Is it Niantic or something like that? They eventually like made that illegal or something, so they got rid of all those sites, and now you just kind of have to randomly walk around and hope you catch one. But I thought it was actually fun to
Actually,
know where
those sites are not gone. There's now an official site.
Oh, really?
There's well, it doesn't tell you where they're going to spawn, but it does tell you when a it will tell you when an egg will hatch, and it will tell you when the raid's going to occur, but it won't tell you which Pokemon. It'll tell you what level something's going to be, like if it's a level 5 or a level 2, but nothing beyond that. But people use it as a way to communicate and message with each other, because Pokemon realized that there were a lot of people that wanted to communicate, but they didn't have a communication tool in their app, and they didn't want to put one in there. Now, I haven't done, so there's an app now that a lot of other people download on the phone, and it ties in not only with, if there is a Pokemon Facebook group in your region, like I know there happens to be 2 of them in Tacoma, and you download this app, you can then click on the region, and it'll give you all the information for that particular region where that's associated with your Facebook page. But there is something called spoofing, and that's where people do not show up at the point in question, like say a gym or something, and they take it over without being there. And spoofing is illegal, and you'll get kicked out for that, though it's prevalent.
Yeah, every game has cheaters. It's sad, but I mean it happens a lot. What I don't get is like there's no way to profit off of Pokemon Go, right? Like you can't sell Pokemon on eBay or anything, can you?
No, you can't. You can finally trade with other people now.
Oh, you can?
Yes, you can trade with people who are deemed your friends, but in order to be a friend, you have to exchange gifts with each other, and you find gifts at various Pokestops. Here's something really clever they did. Back when I started playing Pokemon, it was hard to get all the balls, and you were always short on balls, and you would either have to buy the balls or in order to have enough to catch the Pokemon. Well, what they figured out is that if you get really invested in this game, they made their store so that you could not only buy balls, but that you could buy more space. Because now with your friends, when you go to a Pokestop, you get a bunch of balls, plus you get a gift to give a friend. When you send your friend a gift, that can be a ball or a boost or an energy or an egg or revive or any number of things. There are 3 different types of Pokemon balls, and from all the gifts I've received from my friends, I have over 100 of all of them. My problem isn't, whether or not I'm going to have enough balls. It's the space to keep them in, and I would say I've dropped about $10 or so buying more space to keep all the stuff that all my friends are giving me. So it's an interesting revamp on their how they're profiting from the game.
Yeah, maybe I'll get that. What's that little Bluetooth thing that you can just clip to your belt and you can just press the button? It's like it's a little Pokemon dongle or something. But I got one as a present when Pokemon Go just came out, and so maybe I'll just put that on and see what kind of new Pokemon I catch just walking around. It's
a Pokemon dongle.
Yeah, you don't know what I'm talking about? I want to see what I find it.
I usually have my Pokemon game on just so that I can get the miles in, hatch those eggs. I do put my phone in my pocket and wait for it to buzz. It'll buzz if there's a Pokemon nearby or if something pops up while you're walking.
Do you know what this is, Mark? I can't remember what the name of it is.
Hang on, let me look at my screen. Can you say something again, Ian?
Hello.
I have never seen that before. That's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. So tell us about that.
Well, it connects to your phone, and then you'll feel it vibrate as you walk around, and then you just press the button. And I think if it turns red, you didn't catch the Pokemon, but if it turns green, then you did catch the Pokemon. And so when you get to a bus stop or wherever you want to sit down, you could just look at all the Pokemon that you catched. So I mean, it's just kind of like a passive way to just like walk around and catch Pokemon without being, staring at your phone all the time. That was pretty fun. I remember these were in high demand. I imagine they still make them. I just can't remember what the heck it's called. But well, I think I am done with my Inktober for today. I'll try to show it to you guys. This is going to be tough.
Say something, Ian.
Hello.
A little more centered. It looks good.
Bill, you're talking. I can't see Ian's drawing if you talk. Ian, say something and keep talking for a little while.
Hello. So I think I'm done, but basically I just made like an evil robot injecting poison into the landscape. I just don't want to overwork it too much. I purposely started working on my sketch wallet, which is kind of like a little tiny sketch pad, just to try to keep things simple and small. I didn't want to, go too crazy. So, but this brush pen, I'm loving it. It just kind of forces you to accept some mistakes and just try to do what you can with it. So a better version of this will probably be on my Instagram account if anybody wants to look at it without me shaking my hand and trying to catch better light on my webcam. So
I liked it a lot. I really enjoyed it. It didn't come across as evil to me per se. I thought it was some sort of weird construction equipment robot.
Yeah, well, I don't know, putting poison in the landscape? I don't know.
Well, I thought it was breaking up concrete, like a land digger or something.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Maybe I can work on that. So how can I make it look poisonous?
Well, if it had a toxic symbol on the side of it.
There we go. I'll put a skull and crossbones. Did I lose sound again, or are you guys just being quiet?
We're just being quiet.
Oh, okay. So, Bill, what do you think is... actually, what is for tomorrow for Inktober? What is the theme?
Oh, for Inktober, let's take a look. The prompt is... Here's a list that I transcribed. So I went, come on, where are you? Oh, that's why I couldn't find it. The The prompt is tranquil.
Tranquil.
That's hardly scary.
We'll take some effort to think of a good spin on it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a robot doing that. That's just like an unplugged robot, maybe, but that's not going to be.
You could have like a little Zen robot with, you know, maybe once changing his light bulb. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Tranquil.
I have a feeling I inked myself into a corner with this. Let's see.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys come up with over the next week. I'll keep an eye on your LinkedIn accounts, but be prepared to do a little show and tell next week.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to find a better way to show you guys as I continue to work on these during Epic Sketch Time. I mean, I guess just visit my Instagram is enough, but it's kind of like to show the crowd a little easier. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, I hadn't even thought of putting some of my drawings on LinkedIn. I always worry that even though the drawings are what I'm supposed to be plugging.
Oh, pardon me. Did I say LinkedIn? I meant Instagram. I meant Instagram. I think LinkedIn should be completely professional.
I've been putting them on FaceTime too. I was trying to get other CNW people to post on the Facebook account, but at the moment I appear to be it. There's times I despair.
So here's the quick updates on my Inktober drawing. Maybe it looks like he's putting poison into the ground now. I don't know. What do you think?
Yes, he does. He looks.
I'll talk again. I'm not.
Poison in the ground. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'll consider it a victory now.
Well, people, you've been watching yet another episode of Epic Sketch Time. If you'd like to join Epic Sketch Time, you'll find a link down below in the description of this YouTube clip. You can also find us on Epic Sketch Time on Facebook. Feel free to join us there. And if you would like to receive reminders, again, the sign-up sheet is below. In the link below. I'm sorry, I'm rambling at this point. I guess I'm a little tired. Thank you, Ian, and thank you, Bill, and I'll see you guys both next week.
Have a good one.
All right, take care, everybody.